Maputo, Brazza, Luanda, South Africa, Abidjan, Yaoundé, Libreville, Paris ou même Jamena. Sikoyo Kanatikeli iyo papa.
The wealth, the mineral wealth, has been used to finance corruption. And that finance corruption leads to the instability of a nation. Thank you all very much. I really just wanted to come by first to thank Global Witness, to thank Brookings, and thank all of you for being here to the continuation and development of the subject as relates to conflict minerals and how we're dealing with it with both 1502 and 1504 of the Dodd-Frank Act. So first, thank you. Thank you for being involved. Thank you for keeping a spotlight on this. Let me just give you my background on this. I've been active in the U.S. Helsinki Commission since I came to Congress 24 years ago, 25 years ago. And I've been working on issues concerning basic rights under the Helsinki umbrella. Shelley Hahn, who's here as the staff person, has worked on this issue of mineral conflict and the so-called resource curse. And if you look at the Helsinki Commission, I think it's important to understand the background of how these provisions got into the Dodd-Frank law, so that we understand what we're trying to do, what the outcomes we're trying to achieve. The Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, its predecessor, the Commission for Security and Cooperation in Europe, was formed in 1975 under the basic principles that there are three basic baskets of concerns. And all three are related. You can't have one without the other. It's probably best known for its human rights agenda, but it also has an economic agenda and a security agenda. You can't have security unless you have economic freedom. You can't have economic freedom unless you have basic human rights. And these principles are now well tested, and the interrelationship is well known. Which brings me to mineral wealth of countries and how it's been used. We call it the resource curse because the wealth, the mineral wealth, has been used to finance corruption. And that finance corruption leads to the instability of a nation, which is not good for the people who live there, and it's not good for the United States of America. So that's why we get concerned on these issues. We're concerned because we want to see the wealth of the nation used first and foremost to advance the welfare of all the people of the country, to finance good governance, which will lead to stability, which has a much better chance to lead to an ally of the United States and a market for U.S. products. That's why we get concerned on these issues. I'd like to think first and foremost of basic rights, but it also is a self-interest that we have in the United States. And we spend a lot of money on national defense, and I congratulate the Obama administration for understanding that our national defense budget is more than our military budget. Our national defense budget is also our foreign assistance budget. It's also our diplomacy budget. We now have a national security budget. Secretary Clinton understood that. And that's why she was the greatest supporter of including in Dodd-Frank the section known now as 1504. She did that because she understood the importance of this to our national security agenda. Yes, the provisions directly affect investors. Investors should have the right to know what the company that they're investing in is doing in another country. They have a right to know that. If I'm going to invest my money, I should be able to know what contracts that company has entered into. It also provides a more stable source of minerals for the international community when we know what's going on. And we know what the shortage of material has done for security issues. We know the value of oil, but it goes well beyond oil resources. For all those reasons, this is part of our security dimension of this country. And that's why we got so involved on this issue. it was bipartisan for sure. Senator Lugar and I worked together on this issue, having strong support on both sides of the aisle. Yes, we fought some special interests. There is no question about that. There was vocal opposition from the mineral companies. And I tell you, I listened to every one of their concerns. I did. And I've looked at how the SEC is looking at the regulations and the comments that have been made. I have yet to hear a legitimate concern about transparency. I haven't heard one legitimate argument against transparency. And this is what it's about. You can't have good governance without transparency. Transparency is fundamental. Another reason why we wanted to move forward on Dodd-Frank is that we wanted the United States to lead. If the United States does not lead, other countries won't act. That's the plain facts of the international community. We've seen that over and over again in so many parts of the world. I remember our first efforts to free South Africa. And we were talking about how you can use trade to bring down the apartheid government. The international community didn't want to do anything. The United States led, and the international community followed. And then what happened internationally was the right outcome. Well, the same thing's happening on mineral issues. I applaud the European Commission for their recommendations. They're great recommendations for Europe. They actually, in some cases, go beyond what we've done in the United States, because they deal with companies that aren't listed. They deal with logging issues. That's an advancement. They're adding to it. So we wish them well. I also want to thank President Obama for announcing that the United States will implement the eiti. That's important. Our efforts in Dodd-Frank were not to replace the eiti. It was to supplement the work of the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. So we think they really go together. And we do think we are making progress. But we need the international spotlight to stay on this issue. And that's why we were so pleased that you're having this meeting today. When I look out and see the people that are here, you give me great confidence that we will achieve our objective. And our objective, quite frankly, are more stable governments, where the wealth of the nation goes towards its own people and provides a more secure environment for that nation and its neighbors in the United States. We're making advancements, and you're making that possible. And I thank you very much for your efforts in this area. Now, as you know, we are in our last week of the session. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to end on Friday or Saturday. Our week can be a long week. It might be Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday of next week, but this is the last week of our session. So it's holiday time. So I will take one or two questions if they're friendly questions. Any questions? Yes,
Thank you, Senator. On the name of the Congolese people, I'm from the Congo, Father Jean-Claude Sameso. I work on sustainable development in the Congo, and I'm thanking you for what you just said. All of us Congolese people, we know that America would like to lead. By leading, other people are going to follow. And thank you so much for leading. But also, we have a major problem today in the Congo about transparency on the election. We want America to lead on this question. We're speaking about the blood of the Congolese people. More blood is going to come if you don't act now. And please, you are at the last week of the session. Please, that's our message. There are some problem of transparency in the elections in the Congo, and we want you who are leading to lead on these issues, to let the winner be the winner, and the one who lost be the loser. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much for your question. I strongly support what you just said. For those who are familiar with the OSCE and the Helsinki Commission, you know that we spend as much of our resources in election monitoring as any other single activity. Members of the parliaments will physically go to countries to monitor elections, and we give our opinion as to how open and fair elections have been, and it's been basically the best standards used for whether elections are open and fair. We think that's a fundamental, basic right, and yes, we will absolutely comment I tell you, as an individual, we will comment on elections any place in the world, and we will speak out against elections that we think are not fair. Yes.
Thank you, Senator, for your time. And my name is Garry from the DRC. I'm an independent press person. I'm happy that all of us came here tonight or today to try to find a solution on what's going on in the Congo. Yes, you talk about security. In order to have security in the Congo, we need strong institution. This is the most important role of a government, is to protect its own people. We in the Congo, since a long time, never had a good institution in the Congo. That's why this problem keep on happening over and over and over again. You talk about economy. Yes, Congo has cotton. Yes, Congo has diamond. But Congolese people don't eat cotton. They don't eat diamond. When you go on the field, ask a mother or a young guy from that area, they don't even know what cotton means. Yes, Congolese people need American company to go invest in the Congo because they don't eat cotton. They still need American company to go over there invest in order for them to have some food next day. That's all Congolese people need. You talk about human rights. Can you imagine 48 women raped every hour? I mean, we're talking about 48 people raped. Imagine the time you go to lunch, you come back, 8 people had been raped. It's too much. It's really too much. That's what just a comment.
Thank you very much for your question. I can't give you a response. I serve in the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and I serve in the African Subcommittee. Senator Coons is the chairman of that committee, and Congo is clearly an area of great interest, and will continue to do that. Our objective is to use the resources of a nation to provide good governance and to provide a standard of living for all the people of that nation. It starts with the people of the country. They're the greatest resource. They need to be educated, they need to have good health care, they have to have decent housing, they have to have opportunity. One of our top priorities, gender equity issues, and we fight very hard for those. Secretary Clinton has made that a top priority of the Obama administration. Our commission has made that one of our top priorities. I've questioned on gender equity issues just about at every hearing of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. We will continue to do that. Land reform is desperately needed in the developing world. Women do most of the agricultural work and get very little of the profits. We need land reform. We have to deal with agriculture in the developing world. But mineral wealth should be an asset. You should be able to use that to develop the type of wealth and opportunity so the nation can move forward. And the paradox here is that so many of the poorest countries in the world are resource wealthy. And the resources have been used to finance corruption rather than development. And our effort here is to take that part of the equation, not exclusively, that part of the equation to try to turn that around. But I couldn't agree with you more. You need to deal with land issues and land reform. You need to deal with basic protection of people's rights. You've got to deal with education. You've got to deal with health care. All those are important. I chair the International Development Assistance Subcommittee of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Held hearings to make sure that we leverage the best that we can. The United States is very active on humanitarian needs. I want to see us also active in development needs. But it has to start with good governance and respect for the rights of all its people. And with that, I think I would go back to the place that's not quite as friendly as this place. So thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
Bakolo State.
Bakolo State.
Bakolo State.
Bakolo State.
Bakolo State.
Mwana foto mwana nungare mwana boko yewi Bakolo State afoko makere kwete tarangaya.
Bakolo State is back.
Soko utabaza Luanda, South Africa, Abidjan, Yaoundé, Libreville, Paris ou même jamais là. Siko yo kana tikeli iyo papa.